Hello, guys. Welcome to the show. So let's run through some of the breaking news from continental Africa. And please, before we get to that, kindly do us a favor by liking this video or subscribing to this channel. You have no idea how much that helps us, and we shall forever be grateful to you. Because remember, every little support counts a lot. So please do us a favor. So our first story for today is from Uganda, called US challenge to anti-gay law, that the courts in Uganda will listen to the challenge of the law that was put in place by Parliament against same-sex people. So let's see what the article was saying. A Uganda Constitutional Court on Monday began hearing the first challenge to an anti-gay law that has triggered criticism from the United Nations and led to U.S. visa restrictions on government officials. I have to say that if the U.S. will restrict visa approvals on corrupted government officials, that would be great. Because let me be clear. Let me be very clear, okay? I do not think, or I do not believe it's a wise thing when the United States start getting involved into African affairs. This so-called anti-gay law is an African issue. So the Africans or the people in Uganda should do this themselves. They should take all the necessary measures they have to take, either for or against. And I also believe that whenever the United States get involved into something, it never gets better. It just gets worse. And they have never gotten involved into anything that does not benefit them the most. I have never seen them getting involved in things that will solely benefit the people of the country they are getting involved in. So I don't want people to be happy that the US has gotten involved in the Uganda whole anti-LGBTQ stuff. Because it's never for those same-sex people in Uganda. It's never for them. It's just for the United States to show their strength, to show how powerful they are, and also to control other nations. I think this is clearly wrong. And I also have to say this. I believe that everyone has the right to live. And if someone is not doing something that directly harm other people, they should be led to live their lives the way they want. If you are doing an activity that isn't affecting or hurting or harming other people, you should be led to live your life. If same-sex people engage in criminal activities, like let's say kidnapping or adoption or prostitution or human trafficking or even grooming, I think this is wrong. Any kind of activities with minors is wrong. And if anyone does that, it doesn't matter if they are same-sex people or multi-sex people. It doesn't matter. They should be punished for that. And laws should be put in place to prohibit people from doing activities that hurt other people. But if people are just going about their own lives, just living their lives and doing their own thing, then I do not think that the government necessarily needs to get involved, because I think there are much more important things that we should be focusing on, not getting involved with things like this that really do not have any significant importance on the lives of the people in Uganda. I believe um, creating jobs serves all the people best. And fighting corruption and bribery and embezzlement and misappropriation of public funds is something that will benefit the entire nation as a whole. But spending taxpayers' money on implementing laws like this, that is just out there to target just a minority, just like is it 0.1% or 1% of the population? To me, it's just a case of mispriority. But then again, that is just my own take. So let's move on. Our next story for today is from DR Congo, with the elections ongoing. Elections in DR Congo extended after delays at polling stations. Yeah, before even the election came about, a lot of people complained about poor electricity, and they were like, we don't have enough power, and we are not sure this is going to work out because maybe there won't be enough security, and they were worrying about so many things that might hinder the election taking place smoothly. So they say voting will continue on Thursday in polling stations that were unable to open on polling day, Electoral Commission says. Why were those stations unable to open? Was it because of insecurity, or was it because of the lack of adequate voting materials? Why were those stations not able to open? And what difference would that make if they open on Thursday? Is there something going on behind the scene? Because remember, the opposition leader, as if Felix Fayulu, was complaining, was sounding the alarm about fraud. There might be some, kind of game played. So let's continue and see what this Al Jazeera article is saying about the elections in DR Congo. Elections in the Democratic Republic of Congo have been extended after widespread delays, opposition, allegations of fraud, violence, and logistical setbacks. Voting in the country's presidential and legislative elections began Wednesday, almost a 3-hour delay, as authorities scramble to finalize preparations in an election facing steep logistical and security challenge. You see? So, Congo is a very troubled country, and they've had a lot of issues with insurgencies. It's just a miracle to even begin to think that this country can still stand on its own 2 feet. It's just a miracle, because Congo has gone from one horrible phase to another. I still believe that if if Patrice Lumumba was not assassinated, the whole story of Congo would have been a totally different one. And Congo is one of the richest countries in Africa in terms of natural resources and raw minerals. They are super rich. It's so painful to see them going through something like this. It's so painful. And this whole election thing is worrying, because if there's one thing, not just in Africa, but it's so like visible in Africa, is this fraud thing when it comes to election malpractice. Is very common in Africa. But let's wait and see what the outcome is going to look like. And I think after the election is done, the electoral body will declare the elections, and then from there we'll know who won the elections. So let's move on to our next story. DRC faces election day amidst armed conflicts and socio-economic struggles. Yeah, like we said yesterday, Congo is going through a lot given the insecurity nature of the country, and the economy hasn't been so great. And a lot of young people in Congo are really feeling the pain, which is a common phenomenon in the whole of Africa. Like the unemployment in Africa is something that is very concerning. And I would hope that our leaders in Africa try their best to look into this issue, because I do not really understand why Africa, being the continent that it is facing this huge level of unemployment. And you only know that when there is so much unemployment, these give rise to insurgencies, because young people are easily convinced that the only solution to their problem is joining these jihadist or insurgency groups, that the government doesn't really care about them. And if they do not take matters into their own hands, nothing will change, right? So this whole unemployment and poverty and starvation and hunger thing played into the hands of jihadists or separatists or fundamentalist movement. They use this as a tactic to hire new militants. But let's continue. Voters participating in the election in Goma, an eastern city of the Democratic Republic of Congo, nearly encircled by M23 rebels, are seeking leaders capable of ensuring security and stability for the country. The residents of the conflict-torn city voted as best as they could on Wednesday in a high-risk election in which the incumbent president, Felix, is standing for re-election in the face of many socio-economic challenges. So we hope that whoever wins the election in Congo, the incumbent or the opposition, will look into these issues and they will try to solve it for the people in Congo, because I do not believe that the Congolese needs to be going through or what they are going. So we can all but wish them all the best and hope that whoever the Congolese decided to choose as their next leader should be someone who is going to love the country, who is going to be looking out for the country, who is going to put the country first. But I guess this is something too hard or too difficult to ask from an African leader. So let's move on to our next story. Ethiopia, Egypt say no agreement in latest talks over contentious dam on the Nile. I think this damn thing has become a really big problem between these two nations, and they have been discussing about this like forever without really coming to any sort of agreement. But I just have to say that these two countries can figure this thing out, okay? Ethiopia needs this dam to work. They need to power their country. Ethiopia is becoming one of the largest economy in East Africa, sorry. And Egypt is also a very powerful economy in North Africa. These two countries are the hope of Africa. And just seeing them fighting over the damn thing or talking like forever without even ever agreeing on anything, it's just so Africa. Yeah, it's just so Africa. It's like Africa has a certain pattern that every single country just play into. Like we talk like forever, right? We disagree on like every single thing. We never see a silver lining in anything. We just disagree, and then we talk like forever, and then we don't get anything done, and then we drop it, and then we pick it back after a couple of years, and then we talk again about it. That is so just Africa. But let's continue with the article. Ethiopia and Egypt said the latest rounds of talks over a huge, highly contentious hydroelectricity dam Ethiopia has built on the Nile's main tributary again ended with no deal. Yeah, they've been talking for like forever, but no deal has been made. And the two sides can't seem to agree on any single thing. And they kept on just talking, and then nothing comes out of it. So I wonder whose taxpayers' money are they wasting on traveling up and down. But let's continue. The countries blame each other after 3 days of discussion in Addis Ababa concluded on Tuesday. Yeah, they just went there to you are at fault. You are at fault. They just blame each other every now and then. But the bottom line is the dam has been built. Ethiopia needs the dam like a lot. And there is nothing Egypt can do about it. So right now, negotiations is the only way forward. They can figure out a way to solve this problem. There is always a workable solution to problems like this if both parties really want to work it out. But sometimes it's kind of like the African style to just keep things dragging and then ongoing. But let's move on to the next story. 4 French officials arrested on suspicion of espionage. That the Burkina security forces have arrested 4 French officials on suspicion of espionage. Why are they still in Burkina Faso? I thought they all left. Why are they still there? But let's see, maybe these ones are civilians, not militant. 4 French civil servants, intelligence agents, according to a Burkina Faso source, and computer maintenance technicians, according to a French diplomatic source, were arrested in Ouagadougou at the beginning of December. We learned Tuesday evening in a context of very tense relations between Burkina Faso and France. We are in the process of verifying the real field work of 4 French nationals presented as agents of the DGSE, External Intelligence Editors Node. They are currently before investigators, said the Burkina Faso source. 4 French officials have been arrested on suspicion of espionage. I think that French government is very concerned with what is ongoing in the Sahel. The Sahel nations are making an example for Africa to follow. They haven't just broke all ties with France, but they are forging new pacts together. You heard about the military alliance that has been forged between Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. And now they are thinking about forming a confederation of states and also a common monetary system. All these are very important things that I think will change the face of these countries. If only we have leaders who are so proactive like them. And before we go, let me just make one point clear, right? I will hope that these proposals that these countries are putting in place do not drag on like forever. Because if there's one thing I know about Africa is the fact that we bring forth very credible ideas, very life-saving ideas, ideas that are so good, but we drag our feet for like ever and nothing ever gets done. It's like a common thing in Africa. So I hope that these Sahel nations will paint a new picture for Africa. So those were the stories we were able to cover for today, and I hope you enjoyed it. And please do us a favor by liking this video if you haven't done so, and also subscribing to this channel, because remember, that really helps us a lot, and we shall forever be grateful to you. So thank you very much for doing just that. And like always, see you in the next one.